Hello and welcome to the Rabid Atheist. I'm Ed Rabyd, a former pastor turned atheist, now compassionate anti-theist. Welcome to my channel. If you want to learn how to support this channel, its mission to normalize atheism and deconversion, stay tuned to the end of the video. Welcome to the Deconverters Bible Study. Today I'm continuing the Bible study When God Kills, where I look at the times in the Bible that God either kills directly, orders killing, or is directly responsible for the death of others. Today I'm looking at Joshua 10, and in particular the record of the conquest of the southern cities of Canaan. In this chapter, God's people are responding to an attack by the five kings who banded together to fight against them. In particular, there's a people group that the people of Israel spared because they kind of engaged in some trickery and saying, oh, we're just a wandering group of people, and it turns out that they were actually inhabitants of the land. But because of the oath Joshua gave them, they end up staying and helping out the Israelites. And so I guess God, has one more exception to his rules of kill everybody, which we'll see in a moment. God's kind of arbitrary like that. In this chapter, if I can recap, you can go and read Joshua chapter 10 for yourself. It's about 40-some verses long. It doesn't take very long to read. But I'm going to just hit the highlights and make a few comments on it. Number one, in this chapter, God causes a couple of miraculous events to make sure that the slaughter of these five kings is complete. These five kings band together. I can absolutely understand at this point why there would be alliances against Israel in order to fight against them, because everywhere Israel goes, people die. By this time, it is pretty clear that the objective of the Israelites is complete and utter genocide of people around them. Jericho is a good example of that. These people making a deal to avoid that genocide secretly and covertly. Another reason, a smart play on their part. But here you have an alliance of five kings, which is also a smart part, because we've seen Jericho fall all by itself. Now these five kings are banding together in some sort of hopes of avoiding the same fate as Jericho and Ai. Here we have this battle, and the battle starts off well, going well for Joshua. Joshua is winning, although he kind of has a cheat card in the fact that God is throwing hailstones at these people too. But they're running out of time, and so Joshua prays, and God, according to the text, has the sun stand still for another day so that Joshua can continue the slaughter of these five kings' armies to make sure that the slaughter is complete. As mentioned before, the other miraculous event that seems to happen is these hailstones that come down and fall on the enemies of Israel. And it is noted in the text that these hailstones killed more people than the Israelites did. So Yahweh is not only just ordering genocide at this point, or ordering the killing of people, he's directly involved in the slaughter. And the text makes sure to note that he killed more people than Joshua did. So the five kings do escape this battle, and eventually they're found in a cave hiding. And Joshua asks the people who are kind of protecting them and hold up now in their fortified cities to bring them out to them. The people comply to Joshua, and Joshua and his officers put the feet on the necks of these kings, and then Joshua has them killed despite their surrender. He then leaves the bodies of these five kings up for display for an entire day. You would be thinking that this particular gesture of offering up the kings so that they could be slaughtered like this was an offering of peace by these cities that they once ruled. That way, hey, we surrendered these guys. Would you, kind of leave us alone? But Yahweh is too bloodthirsty for that. What follows in the text is the conquest of the southern cities of Canaan. 6 cities are conquered, as well as the surrounding region. And the following remarks are made with every single one of them. In fact, the writer goes to great lengths to show how each of these cities suffered the same fate. They put these cities to the sword, they utterly destroyed them, and they left I repeat, no survivors. Women, children, infants, young, old, doesn't matter. Every human being in these cities and the surrounding area is killed. It is a complete genocide of all these people, and the text actually takes pride in it. The kicker, though, is when we want to say, well, maybe this is just Joshua getting a little bit overzealous in his conquest and thus leave God out of it. But if it wasn't for a final line of verse 40, he totally destroyed all who breathed, just as the Lord, the God of Israel, had commanded. Joshua was just following orders. And thanks to previous events, he knows the peril of not doing so. When somebody doesn't follow the orders in the conquest of Jericho, that person eventually is found out. They are eventually slaughtered, they and their entire family. Another example of God's justice, where we're not going to just hold the actual perpetrator of the event responsible. Instead, we're going to kill all the guy's family too, because they must be guilty by association. This kind of standard of justice would not fly today, and it would never work. And for good reason, because we don't, in general, punish the innocent with the guilty like the God Yahweh does. But the big thing about this text is I've had people come on this channel and justify the slaughter of Canaan by Joshua before. And every time it's, well, these people were so evil that's why they needed to be removed. Oh, the unborn children, in their mother's wombs, the infants, the young children, they were evil too. I mean, I suppose I should say that, maybe there's a mercy killing involved here, because the young girls who are still virgins won't become sex brides to these Israelite conquerors. So at least they avoid that indignity. But then they also end up dead, so which is worse? I'm not trying to, be rude here, but I've also had people come on this channel and say that God never ordered a genocide. Have you read this chapter? Because it ends with that very statement, that Joshua was just following orders. He was doing what God of Israel had told him. And like I said, he has learned the peril of disobedience, because he lost at this little town of Ai because of disobedience. And, Joshua, says, why did I lose at this little town of Ai after this big conquest of Jericho? And God's words are very simple. Israel's disobeyed. There's a sinner in the camp. You need to purge the sinner. And that's exactly what happens. And then they conquer Ai easily. They have to make this deal with this people group, which kind of gets God a little miffed, but he decides to keep his word on that one for some reason. And then we have this conquest of the southern cities of Canaan, where Joshua literally puts everybody to the sword. They're utterly destroyed by the text's own admission. Women, infants, children, pregnant women, doesn't matter. They all die. Everything that has breath, the text says, has been destroyed, gone. This is a complete and utter genocide. So the idea that, I've had people try to change the definition of genocide to say, well, it wasn't really a genocide because there were survivors. You're still attempting a genocide. You're still been ordered to kill everybody. And in this particular case, in the southern cities of Canaan, Joshua was successful. The God Yahweh was successful in their objectives in killing all these people. It's great irony with some Christians that they will uphold the necessary elements of this genocide, that these people were evil and everything else, and then justify even the slaughter of the unborn, while at the same time being pro-life Christians. Because God cares about every human life, including the unborn. But stories like this get rid of that justification and make it absolutely nonsense. I would like to see the justification of the slaughter of pregnant women in this event, and that idea when you look at the southern conquest of Canaan. The text is very clear. Everybody is slaughtered. Pregnant women, children, infants, doesn't matter. Let me paint a picture for you. And this is a hypothetical. I'm not saying that this actually happened, but if this was the situation, this is what the Israelite soldier would have had to do. During one of the conquests of these cities, they get inside the city. A soldier is going house to house, a very common thing in ancient warfare. He kicks open the door of one particular house, and behind a table is an old man with a spear trying to defend some people behind him. One of them is his daughter, who has been married for years, but her husband is now dead, and she's a widow because he died in the battle, killed by one of God's hailstones. She is also pregnant with his child. Standing next to her is a little boy and even littler little girl, and they are hiding behind the old man with the spear. According to God's command, the Israelite soldier has to push aside the table, kill the old man, kill the pregnant woman, kill the little boy, and then kill the even littler girl, and leave them all dead inside their house. That is what God has ordered. A lot of you try to dehumanize these people in the story, and then you try to make it wasn't so bad. This is what would have happened if that situation was engaged. This is what God had ordered. And some of you are still trying to justify this God Yahweh. He's not a good guy. And this entire chapter feels right out of, Auschwitz. Well, I'm just following orders. And that's Joshua's excuse. I'm just following orders. Okay? God told me to kill everybody, and that's what I'm doing. And this is the problem with divine command theory, because it's might makes right. It's simply, if God says something's okay, it's okay. And so you can do the most heinous acts to your fellow humans as long as God says it's okay. And this is the problem with the God Yahweh. He's bloodthirsty. He's a war god. He likes this. Okay? He doesn't have any persuasive powers. I mean, if he was truly God and knew everything about these people and, had the power of persuasion, he could be like many other deities and gods and histories and mythologies and whatever, and, persuade people to his point of view. But he doesn't have the best oration, apparently, and nor does he have the best persuasive power. The fact of the matter is, the concept of the Israelites is he's just their God among many other gods where every people group had their own. And they're just proving that their God is the one with the bigger, sword, so to speak. And that's the real problem here. You guys want to justify this. And it's like, well, you atheists don't have any standard of what good, right and wrong is, or good and evil. I would argue that the God Yahweh doesn't have one of those either. The divine command theory kind of gets rid of the whole idea of a standard of good and evil and comes down to an arbitrary and capricious decision by the God Yahweh. And it's strange that the God Yahweh always seems to take this tact of, I want to kill everybody, so let's make sure we do that. And that is your God. You have to face the fact that your God, Yahweh, who is also supposedly the Father, who offers up his own Son as a sacrifice on the cross, for those of you who are Christian, is the same guy who orders the genocide of women, infants, and children. And you want to sit there and say he's a good, loving person. Well, they went into the afterlife, yes. And based on any understanding of a Christian afterlife, they all ended up in hell on top of it. So in addition to having their lives shortened unnecessarily so in this world, they end up burning forever in a lake of fire as a final result, because of the hardness of their heart, and they died in their sins. Okay, this is the stupidity of your theology. And I'm a guy with a master's degree in theology. And this is where the stupidity of theology, where you will justify and be an apologist for any action of God in the Word of God, supposed Word of God. I'm not trying to be rude here, but you're trying to justify a tyrant and a madman and a person who will slaughter the innocents, who has absolutely no regard for human life. I hate to say it, but Yahweh's kind of a psychopath. He likes slaughter. He likes death. He likes to utterly destroy his enemies to prove what a big God he is. That's not really enlightened, in my opinion. And I think maybe we need to discard this God and realize what he truly is to the trash heap of history. But I'm sure that's going to be a long ride, because some of you love this guy too much. Maybe it's because you have the same heart he does, a heart for genocide. And you might want to think about that, because one of the things I think religion does when you believe these stories so deeply, it allows you to dehumanize other people. And this is a classic case where apologists will literally dehumanize the Canaanites to the ultimate degree to justify the fact that unborn children were killed. That's kind of sick when you really think about it. Well, I'm always interested in your comments in this. This is the Deconverters Bible Study after all, so leave your comments. This video will drop immediately to the members, so if you want some motivation to be a member, and well, one of the things that you get is you get first dibs at these Bible studies to comment and look at them and watch the videos for them. And then the rest of the time, the video will actually drop a little bit later. So thanks for every like, share, and subscribe. On top of that, as always, there's many ways to support the channel, but just making sure you view the video, like it, share it, gets it more notice. Thank you very much for all of that. But if you want to support the channel in a more tangible way, my PayPal link is in the description. You also have the ability to super chat, super thanks on this channel as well. I always appreciate those as well. But the biggest way and the best way to support this channel is your monthly support through membership, where you become a citizen of the Rabyd Nation. There's many levels to this with different levels of perks, and I'm really working on some of these things because I promised them for a long time, so we'll see what happens. But I'm starting to feel more energetic as the summer ends and the fall begins, and it's my favorite time of year. So there's just a lot of good psychological things happening with me, so hopefully I'll get some things done here very shortly involving membership. So I encourage you to become a member because it, for me personally, allows me to focus on the videos you come to love and enjoy and not focus so much on what appeases the YouTube algorithm. And I just want to give a shout out to my members, to my citizens, to my Rabyd citizens, to my Tribunes. Thank you very much. You guys are awesome in your support of this channel. Thank you. And as always, live your best life. You only get one go around, and then it's over. So you might want to take all those time, money, and opportunities that you have and spend it on yourself, the people you love and care for, and to make this a better world. You'll be happier if you do. Don't waste them on the trappings of religion and faith, because that's a dead end. I speak from experience. And as always, thanks for stopping by, and I'll catch you next time.